If you want to learn a language, you have to immerse yourself with it and use it.
This is often what it feels like as a parent of a speech-delayed child. You learn their language, and you speak it too. We were high school sweethearts. We fell in love at 18 and got married right away. And we knew we wanted to have kids, but we didn't want to have them right out the get-go because we were so young. So we decided to wait, and in our mid-20s, we decided that it was probably time to start our family. And we soon realized that we were having some trouble getting pregnant. And that led to a lot of fertility treatments.
And then throughout that whole process, it ended with some pretty devastating news that it was impossible for us to get pregnant. And then one day I was at work, and 2 weeks later, and I get the news from my wife that we're pregnant. Miraculously. So that was a roller coaster of emotions in a matter of a couple of weeks. And then fast forward 9 months later, out pops this beautiful baby boy that we named Tristan.
Tristan was a handful. He was just the love of our life, and we were so excited to be parents. We were elated. We read to him every night and snuggled, and we just ate up being parents to this little boy. But we started to realize soon later that we were having some trouble with him, and he was having trouble nursing, and he would wake up a lot of the times crying just unconsolably at night, and we couldn't figure out what was wrong. We took him into the doctor multiple times, and they'd say, well, his ears are full of fluid, but it's fine, and it's not a big deal. He's not sick or anything. And so we just kind of kept on trudging along, and we couldn't figure out what was going on, but we knew deep inside that something wasn't quite right. Well, fast forward to the toddler years, and Tristan starts talking, and we could understand him. You know, like we spoke Tristan, but nobody else did. And that was what was, I think, really hard for us, because people were always asking, well, what did he say? Or I didn't hear him. And I think that really hurt Tristan. Yeah. And so we finally decided that we need to probably take him into speech. And he was about 4 years old at this time. And so me and Tristan, and by this time we also had a surprise baby who we got pregnant with, Trace. And so me, Tristan, and Trace go into Molly's office, and we were signing up for speech.
Do it again. Bye, baby, a bib.
Bye, baby, bib.
Take Teddy to town.
Take Teddy.
Popeye plays in the pool.
Popeye play in the pool.
Do it again. Do it for Daddy.
Do it for Daddy.
Cookies and cake.
I like to eat cake.
Go get the wagon.
Go get the wagon.
Do it again. I have 5 fingers.
I have 5 fingers.
Let's do it again. I see the sun.
I see the sun in the sky.
You say it. Zip up your zipper.
Zip up your zipper.
She went shopping.
He went shopping.
John told a joke to Jim.
John told a joke to them.
Do it again. I write it.
I write it. You play.
And while we were there, Molly says, do you mind if I look in his mouth? And I was like, sure. I didn't know what all was going on. We did find out that he had some hearing loss, which was the result of the fluid that he had in his ears. But Molly was looking inside, and she says, I think he might have a cleft palate. And I was like, what? We had taken him to every doctor's appointment his entire life. We've taken him to the dentist. Nobody has seen this except for Molly. And so we were shocked. I remember leaving her office, and I was in tears getting ready for the appointments that were going to follow ahead with the ENT and all of that, and we were a mess. We had lots of tears, and
because as a parent, obviously, you don't want to think that anything's wrong with your child, and we just thought he was perfect, and other people couldn't understand him. We'd always have to translate basically what he would say. But as a parent, like, we looked at it as, well, that's your problem if you can't understand him, because we can understand him just fine. But then we also noticed the frustration that Tristan dealt with.
The anger
that people couldn't understand him. And that's where we realized we needed to do something for him.
That's right. So we go into the ENT, and lo and behold, Tristan has a submucous cleft palate, which is a cleft of the soft palate in the very back of the roof of the mouth. And so we worked for quite a while without having to have that repaired. We did a lot of speech, and we had to have ear tubes, which that was nerve-wracking as a parent to take your baby into the hospital and put them under anesthesia to have ear tubes placed. I think we were a mess over that too. But that did help with his hearing issues. And so we did lots of speech with Molly, and she put up with us for quite a few years.
Thank you.
For pizza.
For pizza. For pizza.
Say, love you.
Love you. Bye.
What else do you want to say?
Bye. Bye.
Say thank you for praying for me.
They will pay for me.
Are your ears healed?
No.
Oh.
Can you hear me?
No.
Oh. We got to a point where she's like, I don't think we're progressing anymore. And so she's like, I think we need to maybe reconsider having a cleft palate surgery.
And as a dad, I was very much in denial.
We were.
We don't need to have this surgery. And the more we discussed it, we had to weigh the pros and cons. What are we setting him up for in his later years with his speech impediment? And
he was having kids make fun of him too.
Yeah. And we didn't want that to affect his life as he grows up. And so, obviously, as parents, we always feel like whatever decision we're going to make is going to be the wrong decision. So we had to have many discussions about it, and obviously, we never want your kid to have to go through a surgery. And so it was a very emotional time for us. We had prayed about it quite a bit, and then we had a piece about the operation, and so we made the decision to go ahead and move through with the cleft palate repair.
And that was the best thing, I think the best move that we had made, along with speech, because after that, Molly did a few tweaks of speech things with Tristan. A couple months later, he was graduating. While we were really sad to end speech because we enjoyed our weekly visits with Molly, we were really proud of him and the work that he put in, and proud of the fact that, Molly was so patient with us and patient with Tristan, and she just worked tirelessly with him.
Okay, so 1,
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21.
We were really struggling prior to speech. Just that, like we talked about, the anger and the frustration, and he would get so irritated and just hurt that people didn't know what he was saying, and he wasn't being heard. And as a parent, that's really painful because we wanted to hear him, people wanted to hear him, and he just couldn't get that out of there. And so I feel like Molly she brought our peace back, and she brought just what the joy of motherhood is, because now we have this little boy who can talk and talk clearly, and people know exactly what he is saying.
And what's also amazing is, you know, the hearing him talk and the clear speech was huge, but some of the other milestones that he was able to experience that I think a lot of times we take for granted was in this one example that I'm going to share is the first time he learned how to whistle, and he could never whistle before the operation, and he learned how to whistle, and I think we just kind of bawled our eyes out because it was the little miracles that came out of this, to hear my son whistle for the first time, or chewing bubble gum and he blows a bubble, and just to see the excitement on his face, you'd have thought that he just won a grand prize because he was able to blow a bubble and he was able to whistle. However, the kid wouldn't stop whistling, and so that kid would whistle all day long, every day, and it was just, to some it would be annoying. To us, it was music to our ears, because he may have never been able to experience that, and so
That's right.
After this operation and the help from Miss Molly, is what we call her, and,
Miss
and
Molly,
the kids, Miss Molly. It was just a huge blessing to us, and it's just it's helped our family immensely.
Yeah, our family has changed because of Molly, and the whole team at Scottish Rite. You know, we owe a lot to them, and we're very grateful to Molly and the staff at the Scottish Rite for just coming alongside our family. I remember one time I had said to Molly, I was just frustrated because I felt like as a mom I wasn't doing enough, but we read books to that kid for hours daily, read to him in the bathtub and all these things, and I felt like that should have helped his speech. And while he was a smart kid, he knew his alphabet at 18 months old, and he taught himself to read at a very young age. And I said to Molly one day, I said, you know, what could I have done? I must have failed him. And Molly says, you didn't fail him. You did exactly what you needed to do. She says, sometimes this just happens. And so that emotional support for me as a mom from Molly was just as important as the stuff that she was giving to Tristan. And so we're grateful for the Scottish Rite, and grateful for the services that they provide to our family, but also what they provide to our community, because we have a lot of friends and family who have also attended the Scottish Rite, and they have just as many beautiful stories as we do, as our story. So we are very grateful and thankful to have Molly and have the team at Scottish Rite in our lives.
Yeah, and they kind of helped counsel us through this process, because there's a lot of questions that don't have answers, and so they helped us navigate this process. And we would walk in, and it was kind of like they treated us like family. They had the same concerns as we did, but they had the right guidance and advice to give us, and we are extremely grateful for that opportunity.
This is an amazing organization, and we're really grateful for them.
Thank you, Miss Molly, for helping me find my voice.